Hey guys, Derek here with the Closet Doctor, and I'm going to show you today how we remotely set up our vacuum pumps to move them outside of the shop. Normally on a CNC like this, when it comes from the factory, they normally set those vacuum pumps right in behind there. They're plumbed out of there. And when you come over here and push these two buttons on there and they light up and come on, you would hear this. Now, in addition to having that annoying sound running anytime that your CNC is operating, they also generate a large amount of heat here in California. And so in the summertime, it gets pretty warm. And the last thing we want is dumping more hot air into our shop. It just makes it really, really uncomfortable. And so is what we have done. I've done this a couple of times now. This shop here, we've done the most extensive setup on it, is we've mounted our vacuum pumps remotely outside so that they can run. You don't hear them running. You don't get the heat inside the shop unless you want it to, and I'll show you that. So let me take a minute, and I'm going to show you how we set up our Anderson CNC router to run those vacuum pumps remotely. The first thing with the Anderson that's really nice is that they've got their vacuum pumps on this nice rack, which really simplifies this setup. Let me show you what we've got. So everything you're going to need to work with on the Anderson comes out of what would be the left side, left end of the machine when you're facing it from the working area. So over here we've got our power for to our vacuum pumps runs out. There's two large SO cords that power those. And then we've got our vacuum that comes in 3 different locations for the different zones. And then there's also a control line here that's got some sensors in it and also some air lines. And so basically all we're gonna do is extend all of those things. The first thing we did is this valve setup is bolted to the rack on the vacuum pumps, and we just unbolted it and bolted it on here next to the machine, so it's gonna stay nice and close. We bolted that onto the strut that we ran our power down. So there's just 5 bolts that unbolts from that. Additionally, there's this other little box right here that's just a control box. We swing around here. This control box, you're just gonna unbolt this, and it's bolted on the inside to the rack as well. And we just bolted that on here as well. So these items are going to stay here close to the machine. The SO cords is what we... Thank you for watching my videos. If you enjoy this content that I share, please take a second, like the video down below, subscribe to the channel, and that way you get updated on new stuff. If you got anybody else that would enjoy this, go ahead and share it with them as well. Thanks. We ran those in from the machine, and they just came in, and we've got a control box, or just an electrical box here that we then ran power lines all the way up to the ceiling, over and out and down to the other side. So they just plugged in right there. Got that running through conduit. And then the other 2 items is to your vacuum. So there's 3 zones here that these valves work to, and there's two inlet lines. If the rack was right here, they would come right from the vacuum pump to this. And so what we did is we ran 4-inch sewer pipe. And this is just ABS sewer pipe. And then we've got 2, I guess these are 45s to a 2-inch elbow there that runs out. You'll notice this does go down to the floor. I learned this from my first guy that put in dust collection. Rather than trying to support this whole column of pipe from the ceiling and everything, we just ran the pipe all the way down to the floor and put a cap off on it. And so it is sealed in right there. So we've got that. That's how we ran it here. And then these open and close a valve that is out on the rack that I'll go show you. And all we did is ordered this vacuum hose on McMaster car. Ordered the length. It comes in 100-foot rolls, so I've got 200-foot rolls here. And then these just little 4mm adapters. Everything is labeled from the factory of how to disconnect it and how to reconnect it. And basically, we've just made this an extension cord there. So let's go outside and we'll take a look at the setup out there as well. Okay, this is our outside equipment area. We've got a nice cover on it, and it's how we've done it. We've cored through the concrete wall, and make sure you get permission from your landlord on that. We've come out and we've got our 4-inch pipe comes out. Same thing here to support it. We just ran it right down to the ground, and then we've got our 2 4-inch to 2-inch 45s on there, and that we've hooked our vacuum hose to there. So that's connected. And then our 4mm control lines that run over to this tank here are connected here. This opens and closes the vacuum chamber. And then for the electrical, run that from outside, and we've got it right here. Now, you need, when you're in a situation like this, to be compliant, you have to have a disconnect for this equipment. That way it can be worked on and be disconnected here at the machine so somebody doesn't turn it on in the shop. And so we chose, instead of using an expensive disconnect, we just use 2 plugs. So we get the proper voltage and amperage plugs there that we plug into. We can disconnect the vacuum pumps right there. That serves as a disconnect. We got enough room out here that we can still get in and have access to things to do our regular maintenance on it, check our filters and things like that. So there you have it. That's how you can remove the heat and the noise of the vacuum pumps and put them outside. It's a pretty simple operation. It takes a little bit of work, but it's not real complicated. Anybody that's running a cabinet shop should be able to do that. And we'll add in one more thing that we had to do because we don't hear the vacuum pumps running. We have a switch over here for our external dust collector, and we had to put a tag on it that reminds us to turn the vacuum pumps off because they're so quiet. We don't hear them running. And so sometimes the guys will leave for lunch and shut that off, and the vacuum pumps would stay running. We had to put a note there to remind us. So thanks for watching. If you guys like this, you watch the whole thing, like, subscribe, and do all kinds of videos like this to share with people on how to improve their shops. Thanks a lot.